Hey, what's going on, 819S? Today I want to talk about some jobs that I've had in the past and some lessons that I've learned from those jobs. I've had a lot of different jobs in my life, starting when I was a teenager and working on like paper routes. My friend had a paper route, I didn't have a paper route, and I helped him out with it a lot. After that I worked at a convenience store. Those were sort of typical teenager jobs, nothing really too special, just learn to, you have to work hard, you have to be there on time, that kind of stuff. The next job I had was when I was 15, just about to turn 16. I started working as an automotive electronics installer. So my job was installing, at the time, this is a really long time ago, installing car stereos into people's cars, installing car alarms, installing car phones when you didn't even have like a handheld mobile phone like the cell phones we have now, when they were huge boxes that needed to be installed into the car. That was what I did, and I worked at that job for I think 2.5 years at that company, and then another year or two at another company, and another year or two at another company. But the first company was the one that really taught me the biggest lesson. So we had a coworker, and he had a lot of talents and skills that other workers in the garage didn't have. And when I would ask him, hey, how did you do this job, like a flush mount stereo in a Jeep Wrangler or something like that, he would be like, I'm not telling you. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, if I tell you, then you know how to do it, and then when this job comes around again, they don't need me. So it's kind of protecting my own job. It's better for me that I don't tell you how to do it. And I was like, what a jerk. That's it. I mean, I don't see this as being that big of a benefit for you. But anyways, if that's what you're gonna do. So I took that, and it motivated me to work harder and try to figure out how to do that on my own without help from him to, kind of show me how to do it. And then from that point on, I started to document all the different jobs that I would do and try to make it available to everyone, so that all this knowledge that I was accumulating wasn't something that would be specific to me, but it was something that everyone in the garage could benefit from. I basically made like a little book, and I made copies of everything into a binder that was shared by all the mechanics, all the other installers in the garage. In this year, this model of car, the ignition wire is this color, and the ground is that color, and whatever. Obviously ground, you can ground to chassis, but basically I went around and every job I did for the first, I don't know, 8 months or so was to document everything. It slowed down my work slightly. Because I had to, actually sit there and take notes about everything. But ultimately, it gave me a better knowledge base to work from. So I knew everything about all the cars before I went in there, because I already had written down the blue wire on this car is this used for this purpose, and the green wire with the white stripe is used for that purpose. And I had a bigger knowledge base in my brain than the other co-workers did, so I could get the jobs done a little bit faster after that. The flush mounting and other kind of special techniques were things that I didn't keep to myself. I didn't document them as thoroughly, but when people had those jobs come in, I would basically explain to the person doing the job how they could do it faster, and then have them show the next person, because sometimes it wasn't always easy to diagram exactly what was going on. And so the lesson I learned from that is a rising tide lifts all ships. I mean, sure, I could have hoarded all the knowledge and kept all that information to myself, and then I would be doing better than everyone, but it doesn't really help everyone in the garage. The point of working in that job is so that everyone can get these jobs done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. In my mind, thinking making the company a better place. If customers want to keep coming, the company will make more money. More money means more customers means more work for us. It's kind of an endless flow of work. Maybe that was just me being naive, I don't know, but that was kind of how I looked at it. And after that, let's see. After that, I worked a variety of different jobs. I can't exactly remember right off the top of my head, but the next job that I really want to talk about was working for a motorcycle mechanic, working as a motorcycle mechanic, working in a motorcycle garage. I worked there kind of a short time, I don't remember, just a few months. And the reason for it was actually because of a motorcycle accident. I went to motorcycle mechanic school and got my certificate. So I was a certified mechanic for Honda, and I went to the Honda dealer in my hometown and started working. And the owner of that company was a real jerk. I was really surprised. He had some dogs that were trained. They were like German Shepherds, I believe. They were trained in the German language, not in English, so only him and a small handful of people knew the commands, and they were really formally trained. They were scary dogs. And I told him before I started working there that I was really terrified. I'm deadly terrified of animals, especially dogs, and that I couldn't really work there with the dogs in the garage. And he said, don't worry, they're well trained, they won't bother you, stuff like that. And you know, the dogs would naturally, they'd come sniffing around my work area, and I would be wrenching on something, and I'd turn around and the dog's face would be right in my head, and I'd kind of leap back, and then my fear would put the dog on edge, and that would make him a little bit like worried about me, like thinking I was up to no good. And it was just a terrible situation. Maybe 3 times I actually jumped up onto the workbench and was just kind of screaming, and the owner would come in and he'd be laughing. He'd be like, I don't know why you jumped up there, they can jump up there too, that's not that high for them. And I'm like, it's not a joke, dude, this is not funny. I don't understand why you're taking this so lightly. I'm terrified of them. Please call them off, have them go somewhere else, please, so I can get my work done. And I had an accident on my motorcycle in which I broke my lumbar. I broke two bones in my lower back, and that sort of put me out of commission for a few months. I wasn't able to go into work. And yeah, he came around to my house because my understanding of it, I'm not sure if this is true, but I was told later he didn't believe that I actually had an injury, so he wanted to come to my house and check for himself. And that kind of surprised me, and I didn't really want to work for him after that. I mean, he would call the dogs in just to harass and to tease me. He knew I didn't like them. I'd ask questions and he'd say, well, you have your certificate, you should know how to do it. Like, he was just a jerk. I really didn't like working for him. And when he came to my house because he didn't trust me, that was basically the last straw. I knew that wasn't a place I wanted to work anymore. And because I had my motorcycle accident, I decided to go back to university and get a different degree so I could get a different job. The takeaway is something like, people don't always see the bigger picture. In the moment, he thought it was funny or interesting or whatever that the dogs were harassing me. Maybe he thought I'd even get used to them. But it was working against him because it was making the quality of my repair work a little bit lower than it could have been, because I was always on edge that the dog would be right there around the corner. Yeah, it wasn't a good scene. So then I went back to university and I studied computer science. During the time I was in university, I was working in an IT company. When I started working in that job, there was, I believe, 6 people or 7 people working in the IT department. And I started as just a beginner. I was doing the most simple jobs, but the reason I got that job was I knew how to do the things that a lot of the people that were working in the IT department didn't know how to do. I started working at the company in a different position, And as I was using the computers in some downtime, I realized some problems that they had with the system. And I wrote a little letter to the IT manager and said, look, people can get access to these files, but they shouldn't be able to. People can do this and this and this, but they shouldn't be able to. You can fix it by doing this, this, and this. And I wasn't looking for a job. The reason I told him was just to try to make the system better. And they ended up giving me a test, and I was the only person to ever get a perfect score on the test, like a computer skills test for IT work. And I finished it faster than most people usually do. Computers were always a big thing in my life, so I've always been really good at them. Yeah, so I started working in that department and kind of started streamlining all of the things that they were doing in there, making clone drives instead of formatting and reinstalling all the software when we set up new computers. I don't know, just I basically reformed that whole department. And everything was working a lot smoother because of the work that I was doing. One person ended up quitting, another person ended up leaving for other reasons, another person got a new job, and slowly everyone kind of left the department. The number of staff was dwindling, and it was finally down to just me. And I thought, this is great. It's just me. They said they're not really intending on hiring any other staff, and with all this added responsibility, I should be able to get a raise. So I talked to my bosses and said, look, when I started, I was doing this work for this wage. Now I'm doing all the work for the same wage. I think it would be beneficial. No, how would I say it? I don't even remember what I said at the point. I think it would be fair. No, I don't know. But anyways, I had asked for a raise. And of course, I didn't receive it. And that really kind of frustrated me. And finally, the company was bought out by another company. And they were going to bring all the staff on in the new company at the same previous wage. And I was like, well, forget that. I'm doing the work of 6 people now. And I'm being paid the salary of one beginner. So I'm not gonna take this new job. If everything's about to change, then you guys can do it on your own. And that was it. I kind of left that company too. Finally, the most recent job, I mean, I've had other jobs in between there too, but the most recent job I left, I did the same job for 11 years. The manager is very heavily dependent on me. Wow, plus size shop. I need to shop here. The managers really depended on me. The staff in the schools really depended on me. You know, every time they had a visitor come in, they would prefer if I talked to them as opposed to other staff talking to them, because I had a way with talking to new customers that really motivated them and made them want to sign up and join the company, or join our company and take lessons with us. I think I was doing really, really good work there, and there was no raises in that company either. For 11 years, it's a little complicated. Let's say for 6 years, I never received a raise. And the amount of responsibility that they expected from me grew every year. Every time a new teacher came in, they wanted me to do some extra training and watch them and give them feedback and advice. And every time visitors came in, they wanted me to take care of that too. And it was like, I'm busy, why don't you have the new guy do it? Oh, because the new guy's not as good as you. Okay, so pay me more then. I don't know, I don't understand how that works. So the underlying thread in all of the companies I've worked for is, no matter how good I got at the job, no matter how skilled I was, I always got paid the same. And this was the most frustrating thing of work, and work in general. Wow, a hobby shop. Where am I? This is the most frustrating thing about work in my life, is that I always strive to be the best at whatever I do, and when I achieve a higher level than the people that are working around me, I'm not compensated any better for it. So the thing that frustrates me about every job I've ever had is that the new guy who just started and hasn't worked there very long is making the same salary as me, who has been working there significantly longer, and as a result I'm doing a lot better work. When I talk about it with my bosses, I often got the same reply: well, the company's not doing that well right now, times are hard, they're not giving bonuses or raises to anyone at this point, so, you know, just hang in there, keep doing your job. We have a record of all the good work you've been doing, and, you know, when we're finally able to give raises to people, you're first on the list. And I've learned that that basically means bullshit. They're not making a list and you are not on it. Because a few of those companies too, I found out in hindsight that the managers and other staff were getting raises at the time that they were telling me that there was a freeze on raises and that they weren't giving raises to anyone. So I realized all those people were basically just lying, and I don't know, the takeaway is, I have no idea what the takeaway is, and that's the problem. I suppose in a sense I'm a little bit naive because I have all these takeaways from different jobs. This is not all of them. These are definitely the big ones though. And I'm looking for a new job right now, but I don't know how to apply any of these lessons I've learned into current job hunting or into future jobs. If you have any interesting stories about your job, I would absolutely love to hear them. What kind of lessons did you learn from different jobs you've had in your life? Definitely leave a comment down below. If you want, make a response video and leave the link to the video down below. I will absolutely check it out. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Ride safe.